Okay, so this view, oh, hello everyone. I'm Tiffany and welcome to my quilting life. Okay, so this view is going to be just a little bit different than normal because I wanted to be able to have you guys see what I was doing down here. Obviously, my light is too bright again. And I want, hi Diane, what are you doing awake? Obviously I normally prefer you guys to see my face, but unfortunately I had to change the view because the angle for this part so that you can see me pinning and stuff. I'm hoping that this angle works. Is it nice and clear, Diane?
Hi, everyone.
So I want to be able to show this. You have no idea why you're awake. Well, I'm awake because it's my normal awake time. So as everyone can remember, this is what I'm making. And there goes my little numbers. So I cut from each strip piece earlier that I did. I was able to cut 10 strips from each set. So I stacked all of the 10 and I have now 6 piles of 10. No, actually I have 6 piles of 9 now because here's the number 10. So what I want to do, and I'm hoping you can see very well right here, is I'm going to take one from number 1, and I have them laid out the way they're supposed to be, by the way, as you can tell. And I'm going to take one from number 2. I know it's kind of weird not seeing my face, but I want you guys to be able to see this. And I'm going to align them right here to where I create this. That's how I know they're correct. And then I'm going to lay them right sides together. So now I have a funky looking little piece where the end sticks out right here, about 1/4 of an inch. See that? There we go. And I'm going to hook them together like this, and I'm going to lay them in front of me. And what I'm going to do is at this seam right here, this first seam on this top piece, I'm going to come in about 1/4 of an inch with my pin. You can see my pin is coming out right here at this seam, and I'm going to take it to about 1/4 inch into the seam on the bottom one. See my pin? And my pin is going to go in, and I'm going to slide them together. And I'm just going to hold those two together for a second. I'm going to take a second pin, and I'm going to come in and up right there, pulling that first pin away. So now I just have one pin holding that section. Now I'm going to come to the next seam. I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to stick my pin in the seam about 1/4 inch from the edge, because that's where I'm going to be sewing across, is 1/4 inch away from that edge. And I'm going to poke it down into the bottom one about 1/4 inch in. I'm going to smush those two together with that pin in there, grab a second pin, come in down here and back out right where that pin is, holding that seam. And I'm going to continue this the rest of the way down. Again, I'm on the back side, pushing that pin right here at 1/4 inch, coming out the front. So the pin is coming out the front. Then I'm going to come to the bottom piece, put that pin down at that 1/4 inch. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'm putting it down right into the 1/4 inch away from the edge. And you should be able to eyeball this. Smush them together with my fingers. Grab another pin and stick it in and pull it out. Taking that same other second pin, same thing to the next seam. So let's see how close I can come up and show you. Okay. So 1/4 inch away from the seam right here, I'm coming in on the stitch line. I'm putting my pin in there, coming out into the seam. Right there, you can see that pin. It is in that seam. Taking the next one below it, 1/4 inch from this edge, I'm going in with my pin, sticking it in, pinching them together. So that pin is now sticking straight out. I'm going to pinch them together. Grab another pin. It's kind of weird doing it like this, but pinching it together, putting that second pin in through the pieces and coming out right next to that. Trying not to adjust or move anything. So now I can take that one that was standing up out. Coming to the next one, a 1/4 inch on that seam line. So the seam line right here is the one I'm talking about. I'm going to stick it in the hole. I'm going to come to the back one because I'm in the seam with my pin a 1/4 inch away from the edge on this next one. Stick it into that seam. See, the pin is now in that seam. Push it down in, flatten the two out, straighten that pin back out, smush them together. I want that pin to stay straight. Obviously, my angle showing you guys this might not be so straight, but I'm going to hold that pin up and down nice and straight. As you can see the pin. You can see the pin. It's very clear. Hold it nice and tight, keeping it straight. Taking a second pin, coming in just a little bit down and coming right back out next to that other pin. So that way my pins are sticking out this way because I'm sewing on this edge and I have a seam guide. So I don't want the pins to hit it. So it'll kind of look funky at first, like this. And when you come to this end, you should have a 1/4 inch sticking out. See that? So there's a 1/4 inch beyond. And I'm going to now take it over and start at the top, which is now this side. Right sides together. It's always going to be that way now because it's been pinned. And I'm going to start sewing in this V. And I know you can see that on the camera. So I'm just going to take my first stitch. And now I'm going to make sure that my pins aren't sticking out too far from my seam guide. And I am actually going to sew over the pins. It is very dangerous to sew over pins, but I am using some super duper thin ones. And I'm so surprised you can even see them. But I'm using super duper thin pins. And I'm going to sew over each one of them. Coming right to it. Making sure everything's staying aligned and holding it nicely. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pins out and I'm going to open it up and look to make sure before I do anything else, I'm going to make sure that all of my seams align up, and I will come show you how aligned they look after I finger press everything to the left, because there's less seam bulk when I go to the left. Yeah, I have a long time ago. Haven't watched any. I don't think there's any new videos within the last 6 months or so. All right, so I'm going to finger press that back so that I can come show you my matched seams. So what we're looking for, let's see how well I can hold this up. See how straight that is right there? We're looking for that. So this is what pinning helps, is giving me a straight line from this to this. Under the next one. Nice straight line. It's like it just comes straight across. I don't like pinning. I wish I could get away with it with not pinning, but this is not for me. So obviously I can't be picky or unpicky and just go. But this is the straight line we're looking for. Probably, if nobody else gets on, obviously, Diane, we can chit chat. But this technically, I knew that nobody was going to be awake. But I'm trying to get this. It's a series, and I have to record the video. I'm recording the video anyway, whether people are on to talk to me or not. It's a series, so I'm getting it recorded. So anyway, now that I got this like that, I'm going to go and grab piece number 3. So always make sure 1, 2, you're on number 3. So grab piece 3. You're going to lay it here so that you know where it goes, and make sure that you have a nice straight line. Right sides together. And we're going to do this whole pinning process again. So I'm going to make sure that I have my little piece sticking out. See? If I hold it down, you can see that a little bit of it hangs out about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to take my first pin, come into that seam, come to the bottom seam. My seams are actually better. If you do it on a flat surface, your seams will be a lot better. So I'm just going to hold that pin. See, it's sticking straight up right there. Yep, I did. I tried to get on a little bit earlier, but life happens. And I had to eat too. I didn't eat earlier either, so I needed to eat to feel somewhat normal. But here I am, just trying to get this done. All right, so I'm holding that pin in place, grabbing a secondary pin. I'm using my fingers to pinch outside of the pin in that 1/4 inch area and holding it there. Take it out, grab, put it in the next section, pin those together, make sure those seams align nicely, that my needle is up and down, my pin. Grab another pin from the basket, go in, somewhat down the material and come out. You can pin along the line this way if you want. You know, put your pin in this way. But, you know, once it's in, like here, I'll just do this seam real quick. You can come in, do the 1/4 inch away from the edge, pinch them together, and then turn that pin. Oops. Came out. And then you can turn the pin and hook it in if you want, but you're going to be removing pins as you come. Hi, Vicky. But I'm going to keep it nice and straight up. I'm holding at the 1/4 inch away, that 1/4 inch section. That way that pin stays nice and standing up straight, coming in and popping myself out around that pin. Go to the next one, pin in that seam, pinch them together, keep it nice and straight. This is the process that I hate when it comes to making this much. See, if I was just making a regular Lonestar, it wouldn't be so bad. But I am actually making a different, I'm making the Mariner's Star. So technically I have a lot of pinning to go because this is just the first section of 2 sections. The other one is half of these with some curves. So, all right, so I'm going to start and I'm going to pull my pins to where they're not sticking past the fabric. And dangerously sewing right over them. It's not going to be that bad sewing over them because like I said, I'm using super thin pins. My little bow tie pins are actually the smallest ones that I have. They're super thin. Any of my other ones, they actually will break my needle when I run over them. I don't normally recommend it, but for this project with my seam guide, I am using it. All right, so now before I start finger pressing, I check all of my seams again. So I have one that's kind of off, but I'm going to finger press it and show you that it doesn't matter because sometimes they aren't totally perfect. So I'm going to come show you. Okay, so again, we are creating a nice straight line. See that? So here's the second nice straight line. But if you look on this piece, right? Is it this one? This one right here. It is off, like literally. Let's see how much closer I can get without it being too blurry. It's off by, I don't know. You could see. And then the next one should be good. Nice and straight. But that one is just a little up. This one's off too, actually. Just a little bit. You can see that. So these two are touching and you shouldn't see these two combine. But I'm just going to leave it because it's like literally a minute amount. I want them all to be this, but if there is just that ever so small amount, don't worry, don't pick. Unless you're a perfectionist, don't bother. So I'm going to come back to my spot right here and turn it around because it doesn't go this way. It goes this way. I'm going to finger press it. Every single one of these are all finger pressing to the left. Always this way, because it's actually, if they went to the right, it's going into too much seam. It literally presses so much better. Yeah, it's not off enough to be that big. It's not going to be noticeable when there's 20 something of these blocks. So again, 1, 2, 3. I'm on piece number 4. So I'm going to grab from my pile in front of me from the number 4 pile. I'm going to lay it right here and look to make sure that when it's laying here, I have a nice straight line. I do have to say in the description below, I put an amount. So if you want to do a 6 colored Lonestar, just like this, I did put how many strips you need. You need 36 strips of 6 different colors. And it's in the description below to make a Lonestar because you get 10 cuts per strip. So 36 strips for 6 rows, that 10 cuts in the order, you put them in the order that you want. Just look in the description below and it'll tell you how many of each color you need. So if you're using 6 like me with a solid 2 lights, 1 medium light, and then some darks like I'm doing, then that list will tell you how many exactly you need. Also, for those watching later, as long as you, if you want, you can go over to the Facebook group, which I post still photos of the projects that I'm working on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pin and talk at the same time. I can't think. So in the Facebook group, I post still photos of projects that I'm working on currently. And if anybody needs any more information or needs better visual of the projects, just head over to that group and join it. You must be a subscriber to my channel to join the group and a quilter. Other than that, it's just a Facebook group so that those of you in the Facebook group that join that group get more one-on-one with me, as well as the ability to see everything that I'm doing when I'm not making a video until I get stuff situated with videos. So again, I'm just going in these seams, lining them up, pinching them together, putting a second pin in, and coming out right next to that first pin. Again, let's do it one more time. So I'm coming in at that seam. You can see I'm right here on that seam with the pin, 1/4 inch away from the edge, hitting the bottom one, 1/4 inch away from the edge, pushing it into that seam, coming out, standing my pin up, holding it standing up, taking the second pin down on the fabric and up right next to that pin and out. Then go to the next one, holding it in there, putting it in the seam, keeping it standing straight up, pinch them together, grab the pin, the second pin, and put it in and come out. And then I will make sure that you want to make sure that you have that little V going on right here, because that's about 1/4 inch that hangs off. It's the same if you were to just piece diamonds on its own. So I'm going to sew with my pins in, making sure they're not hitting my seam guide. You can pull the pins out right before you get to them, or you could just leave them in like me. I'm leaving them in due to the fact that I've had to do some picking already since I started doing this today. And I'm trying to prevent from having to pick anymore, because it's annoying. And my good seam ripper just so happens to be out in the garage at the long arm right now, because I had to do some picking on the long arm the other day and I forgot to bring them back in. All right, again, before I finger press, I'm going to pull these open and look at all of these seams, and they are literally perfect. Like, I don't know, the pinning helps, I guess. After a while, it's like, you get used to the pinning. But pinning does add a lot of extra time. So now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on piece number 5. I'm grabbing from piece 5's pile. I'm going to line it up knowing that I have a nice straight line right here. That's how you know you're sitting in the right spot. You don't want it like this. See how I have that on the table? You don't want to see that. That's not how the piece goes. It goes up so that you have a nice straight line right here. Okay? Then you put it right sides together and you'll have that little piece that sticks out. That little piece. Lay it in front of you. It's nice to have a large working space. And again, let me come up to the screen and I'll show you how this is done. Put the pin in. Let me grab my second pin. So that way you guys could see again. So I'm putting my pin in at the seam right there. So it's coming out. And then I'm going to put the pin into the bottom one, about a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Line them up, pinch the two together. Now that the pin is in, coming out the bottom in the seam, a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and it's a 1/4 inch away from the edge in that seam, pinching them together, holding that pin nice and straight. Let's see if I can't keep these nice and flat like I did earlier. And it looks like I'm not going to be able to. So let me just lay it right here. Put my first pin in real quick. Grab it again. So let's lay this right here so you can see. So right here at this seam, in the stitching, a 1/4 inch away from the edge. So here's my edge. I'm going to come in a 1/4 inch and I'm going to stick that pin into that first side of the seam. It's about 4 stitches away from the edge. Then I'm going to come in that bottom one into the seam. So see how it's coming out the seam right there? Pinch the two together, keeping that pin straight up and down. Come over here, lay it nice and flat. Throw my next pin in there. So just like away from it a little. So I'm coming down just a little and then popping the pin up right next to it and pulling the first one away. Hope you guys are understanding and can tell what I'm doing. So I'm going to do it again. In, pinch, hold, keeping it standing up, in and up, pull away. So a 1/4 inch on the seam. So here's my seam. I'm going to go a 1/4 inch away from this edge right here, about 4 stitches in. Come to the bottom one, put that pin in, 1/4 inch away from the edge, right in that seam. Pinch the two together, keeping that pin up nice and straight. Pop it in, pop it out. Last one. Let's see if I can't do this at the screen. Here's my seam. There's the stitching. It's white thread, so I know you can see. We're going to go in. So there's literally, let's see how close I can get. There's literally 4 stitches right there between this and the edge. Then I'm going to come to the bottom one, to that seam. And I'm going to go a 1/4 inch away from the edge, which is right about here. Pinch the two together so you can see my pin sticking out. There it is. I want it nice and straight. I'm going to pinch the two together, keeping that nice and straight. Throw that next pin in further down, come out right next to it. So it's literally one that's still standing straight up, put this in and come out right next to the pin, pulling the pin away. And I don't know if you could tell behind me, here's my next 2 stacks. Like literally, there are 36 strips. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Here's 36 more strips. Oh wait, there's times 2. So for me to make some more strips. So I have everything pre-cut. So I'll get 10 from this set, 10 pieces from each strip set, and then move these over so they don't fall. And then 10 from this one. And all my leftovers I'm actually keeping. That's why I cut as many as I did, because I'm actually hoping to be able to do a pieced binding on this quilt. Yeah, Vicki, did you take something? You should take some ibuprofen or something. Or if you have naproxen, take naproxen. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's very good for when you've been working hard and you need some relief from inflammation. So I'm just keeping this sewing a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and all of my seam or my crossovers should be perfect. So I'm going to pop the pins out, and I'm going to show you what the back side looks like before I even open it, where the stitching is, because I'll be able to show you the stitching. That's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, and that's good. Okay, so before I even finger press this open, I'll show you the stitching, see how it crosses over? So it makes these little itty bitty diamonds of the next color. It creates a little diamond right here, like that. So you can see the stitching line. It creates little diamonds. If you have a little diamond and it's equal in all of them and it comes straight across, then your seams should always open up and look like that. I guess it's a big difference when you're piecing these for these seams to get good seams if you're using pins. So that's what we're looking for. Ooh, take one of those. All right, so I'm going to make sure it's in the right direction, because if you accidentally flip it around, it's going to not be the way you need it. So if you could look at my chart is this right here, because this is a fully done piece. It starts with green and then does this. So every row is exact, and I have them laid exact. So now we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we need to add number 6, because technically this is my top. So now I just need to finger press this to the right real quick. I mean to the left, sorry. Because the left is the best way. It kind of naturally wants to lay that way. And I'm going to grab number 6, because that's all I need to do. And I'm going to put them right sides together. We're making sure that we create a nice straight line right here. That's how you know you're putting it in the correct position. You're always going to have your little V. Don't forget about that. And I kind of want to sew this without pins so that you can see, but I don't want to mess it up because I don't want to do any seam ripping. So, but I kind of wanted to show the difference between pinning and not pinning, but I'm going to go in and just pin it anyway. Because this is a customer quilt, so I don't really want to mess it up at all, like whatsoever. Plus, I don't want all the added work, because this is a king size. The more work I have to do, then the harder things become on me. So, putting my pin in at those seams, holding it nice and tight, come down and come up and out. So I'm just reusing that same pin over and over again. And my seam just so happens to be a 1/4 inch, seems to be 4 stitches away, because I'm stitching with my machine at the 2.0 mark, which is 17 stitches per inch, I think. I'm not accurate on knowing that every time. I know that it's 16. No. Hold on, I gotta think about this. I counted them once. 16 stitches per inch, I think, on the 1.6. Maybe it was 17. I don't know. It was somewhere in that number. All right, one more seam to pin. Put that in there. Pinch these two together. They should lay right, like, equally on top of each other every time. If you've cut these accurately at 2.5 inches, like I said in video number 2 and video number 1, then these should come out perfect every time. Actually, I think video number 2 is the subcutting of the strips, because video 1 ended abruptly. I'm actually sewing slower than I normally would, only because I'm trying to not hit those needles at a certain speed, because if I do, then I end up taking the chance of breaking one. All right, so I'm going to just open this up. Before I finger press, I'm going to check all those junctions, and they are perfect again. Yes, have snacks with meds. Diane, you're correct. Vicki, make sure you have some snacks. All right, so this is nice. So now I'm going to attempt to see if I can do something with this video real quick. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Guess not. I was going to see if I can't change the camera or something, but I guess I don't get no options when I'm live because I don't even know how to turn the live off. I just closed out the screen earlier. So I'm going to press this now. And I don't even know how you're going to be able to see me do this, because if I move this camera, I'm never going to get this angle again. So we're going to try it anyway, though. Don't mind the moving. Unfortunately, I cannot change that. Stay. All right. So sorry about the angle, but unfortunately, I don't have a choice in the matter right now. Okay, so I'm going to lay this block down. My seams are finger pressed up when I lay it down. And I'm going to use my fingers just to lay them out and make sure all those seams are going back. Since I finger pressed, it should be good. So I'm just using my fingers. My iron's hot, so I'm just going to lay it on this first piece on the bottom. And I'm going to come to the next one using my fingers to kind of just pull them out a little, as you can tell. I'll set the iron down for a second because I want to make sure that next seam is down. So again, I'm using my fingers, making sure that that seam is folded back the way I want it. I am not using any steam at this point. Right now, I'm just making sure that my seams are flat and down. Now I'm going to go over it with steam. And it should lay super duper flat, as you can see on camera. So now we have another piece. So I'm going to pick this up because it's nice and flat, and I'm going to take it over, and then I got to turn the camera again. So, let's see if I can do this one more time. I'm sorry about this in advance for anybody watching later. Okay, so temporarily, I'm going to leave it right here so that you can see. So now, if I put these two together, do you see what I'm doing here? Obviously, all those pieces are... Hold on. We're going to move this out of the way temporarily. It's a good thing I keep it all on my little mats. So pretend this is more, but right now these two together make a quarter, like that. So now you're seeing this design go around. Then you're seeing this darker one come around, and the more pieces I keep adding, this darker one is also going to go around. Now you could also flip them around. And I think the design is supposed to go this way, actually. Yeah, I think this is the way it's actually supposed to go. Or you can flip them around. It's up to you because every block is the same, but because they're sewn the way they're sewn and attached, this is how they work. So if you were going to make a Lonestar, I'm going to go through this part in every video. So if you're going to make a Lonestar, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find out how big this section right here is. Okay. So what I do is I take a ruler. I do this every time. This is the best way to figure anything out is I come and I hold the ruler up to this edge. I come down to the point down here at the bottom, which you probably can't tell, and I measure it. So it's 18 inches. So I'm going to come about a half an inch further because we're going to lose a quarter here and a quarter here on these seams. So I'm going to come to 18 and a half. And then I would come to this side and make sure the same exact number. I know you're not supposed to look from the back side, but again, it's right at 18, so 18 and a half. So what I would do is cut a big, huge 18 and a half inch square and cut it in half. Or you can cut a 19-inch square. No, 17-inch square and cut it on the diagonal both ways, giving you 2 quarter triangles right here. I'm thinking that's right, but that's how I usually figure it out. And then you'll need another one. Let's see, hold on. I'm going to try to see the position I'm in to make the quarter. So you would need one on each of these as well, because they're going to be going all the way around. So again, that would be another 18 inches. Yep. So yeah, I'll be able to give you guys measurements for that after I get 8 pieces together and give actual measurements for the 6-piece one. For anybody doing a Lonestar from this video series itself, I'll be able to give the actual measurements for the corner pieces because they are all made on the diagonal. So right here would just be this across. So it would just be right here, attach a piece, and right here, a piece. That's how it works. And then you attach the outside to this, open it up, and then attach the top piece, right sides together and come out, and then open it up, and you would have a nice, perfect square, which would be the quarter panel, if that makes sense. So, all right, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew what I was doing. Again, this is what I'm creating, except these actually, in the pieces I'm doing, they're 3 pieces at a time. So in what I'm doing, I'm putting 3 together like so, because I have 3 pieces I could show you. So what I'm making, let's see if I can't fit them over better. We'll have 3 like this in a section. And I have 7, let's see, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sections of 3. Is what I'm making for the Mariner's Star. And these are all the outside pieces. So you can only imagine how big this quilt is going to be just by looking at this. So I'm going to adjust the camera up for a second. That way this time you could see my face. Ta-da! Okay, so obviously this video is going to be ending in a minute. I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that this is what these strips are doing. Sew on triangles before attaching each diamond. That way they won't have set in seams. I have no idea what you mean. I sew, when I sew those, I sew the one side, and then I sew the quarter square triangle on the other side. And then to hook them together, I sew the one big long seam. It actually works perfectly that way. So, anyway, so again, the directions for the Lonestar itself is going to be the same as this. It's wrote down in the description below, but I'll tell everybody. For the 6-color Lonestar, which is 7 colors because you need a backing fabric, but for the 6-color Lonestar, it's 36 diamonds total per piece. Okay. 8 of those strips is a solid. So you cut 8 solid strips. And then you'll have 6 light strips. Then you have 6 of these medium light strips. And then let's see, hold on. 4 of this one right here, which I'm considering a medium. This one right here. 4 strips of that. And then 7 strips of this darker color. And 5 strips of this, what I would consider the more darkest color. So you need 5 of those strips. So again, 8 strips, 6 strips, 6 strips, 4 strips, 7 strips, and 5 strips. Altogether, 36 strips. Those 36 strips will be a big pile like this if you cut them yourself. If you use a jelly roll and do scrappy, then you can just put them all together however you want to in sets of 6. Then in video 2, you'll see how to cut them on the diagonal. Once they're cut on the diagonal, you will have what you saw, which is these. You'll have 10 strips of each. You will only need 8 strips, but the other 2 left over can make something else. But you only need 8 strips for each one of these. To make 8 of these, you only need 8, and you can get 10 from your with the fabric strip cuts. There, that's how I was trying to say it. I couldn't get it out because sometimes it doesn't come to me. So it takes 6 strip units from the diagonal to make one of these, and you need 8 cuts off of the with the fabric. When you taper them down, which is video number 1, video number 2 has the cutting and how they're going to be. Video number 1 is the layout and how they get cut and are sewing the strips together, making sure that you have your layout correct. So 8 of these make a Lonestar. That's all I got to say. And if you want to keep going, I'm making 24 of these for the outer part of the Mariner Star. So those that want to follow along with the Mariner Star, so far it's 24 of these. So obviously with this math, just draw yourself a diamond on a piece of paper, draw all the little diamonds in it. You need 6 sections. So that's 5 lines one way and 5 lines the other way inside of a diamond. And then put your colors, make sure you write color A, color B, color A goes here, color B goes here, color C, or you can number them, color, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this back to number 1, and this would be number 2 again, and then this would be 5, and then this would be 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and back to number 1. So yeah, I hope I'm explaining that okay. But again, there'll be pictures on the group, which is in the description below. It's on Facebook. And not only do I share off-camera stuff, but I share directions to things. There'll be more long-arming videos over there. And join the group. As long as you are a subscriber to my channel and are a quilter, join the group, and you can post your quilts because I love to see everybody's quilts. So, hi, Dewana. I won't be able to text after this. I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm getting off anyway, so it's okay. I was just trying to give a run through real quick of where we are and how it works. So, again, you can cut 10 of each of your 6 panel, your 6 stripped pieces together, which creates a panel. You get 10 cuts off of it. Videos 1 and 2 shows how to do that. And I'm going to tip it back down so that you can see one more time. This is what's being created. Focus. That's what's being created. And that's it. So if you are new to my channel, don't forget to like my videos, subscribe to the channel. When you are subscribed, right here in the bottom, there's a little bell that's going to pop up when you hit subscribe, and that if you hit that, you'll get a notification when I'm live. Some people need to fix those settings. You can click on them and restart it over on the bell and change those settings if you need to. But don't forget, like my videos, and if you're really happy with the video and you want other people to know how to work on this or do this, share my videos. Sharing is good. And that's it. So part 3 now is finished of the Mariner Star. I don't know what day I will be back with part 4, but I'm going to try to do this as often as possible for this series of videos. So they will all be named the Mariner Star Quilt. So that way you guys know what video you're watching. So, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed putting these together. So this is it right here. So far, I'm making sets of 3 for my sections. I have 8 sections of 3. And this is what I'm doing. So, all right, everyone. Ta-ta for now. Bye. Obviously, it's going to take me a second to figure out how to turn this off again because I didn't have a button earlier. Oh, it's okay. I'll figure it out. Are you serious? Aha, is that it? Oh, look, I found it.